Hi, it's Logan. Welcome back to another episode of the Whatever I Want podcast brought to you by Binge Media. I'm your host, Logan, as always, and I'm back with another episode. Before we get into the guests of the day, be sure to make sure you are subscribed on Apple and Spotify and anywhere else that you listen to your podcast, Stitcher, Pandora, and other places. Sorry, I'm out of breath, everybody. I'm trying to set this thing up, and I'm out of shape. So that'll happen. Make sure that you leave a rating and review. It helps us get noticed on the charts. And make sure, because you'll be watching this, make sure you are subscribed on the YouTubes, that whole world, and we should be good to go then. My guests today are two people I have known my entire life. He used to work as a mailman. He's also been a barber, and that's what he did at one point. She used to be a dental assistant and a full-time mama as well. They are Steve and Nancy Kirby. Hello to you both. My grandparents, me, mom, papa.
Hi, Logan.
How's it going?
How's it going, Logan?
It goes well. I'm trying to make sure that we can be heard okay. Hopefully it comes through. If it doesn't,
You mean we'll have to do it all over again?
I think we might have to do it all over again then. So hopefully this goes amazingly. Maybe if you don't mind, will that hurt you if you have to do that the whole time?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, then maybe I might ask that you sit up if that's okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Just get a pillow to support you or something, and let's rock and roll. So obviously, just like I just stated at the top, Mima and Papa, they are my grandparents. They are my mother's parents. They have been my grandparents for as long as I can remember, and I've been their grandson as long as I can remember. But this time it's going to be a little different. Usually I'll sit down with the guests and I will have a discussion with them about what their passions and desires are in their lives. But this is a little different because these guys have already accomplished a lot rather than the guests that I have that are around my age. These guys are only like 20 years older than me or so. So that's good. That was an age joke.
Only 20?
Only 20 years older.
Wow, I love it.
Wow, grandma and grandpa, they're so young. So I have three categories of questions. One of them is about your kids. One of them is about how you two came to be. And the other one is just random questions. Do you have any preferences on where you want to start?
Probably how we became.
Let's do it. So, looking in this group of questions, do you guys remember the day that you met for the first time?
Well, it was in school, so we were just in classrooms and didn't really focus on each other at that time. It was in junior high, so that would have been 1958, 57.
Wow, that's a long time ago. Jeez. So how old were you guys then?
In junior high, we would have been
13 and
13.
14.
Wow, that's crazy. Do you remember who took interest to the other first? Was it Gramps?
yes,
Gramps went after you?
Well, not in junior high, but
in
Yeah.
high school.
freshman, sophomore year, yeah.
Were you guys like friends before?
He chased me.
Wow.
Oh, she's bragging.
No, we weren't, because he lived in Benson and I lived in Roanoke, two different areas. Even though our schools were together, we still lived in separate towns. So I didn't know him that well until we really
Well,
can't do that.
Well, it hears a boom every time you
okay.
do it. It's okay.
we didn't really know each other until our freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And she says we knew each other in the 8th grade. And really, she might have known me, but I didn't know her.
Okay. Gotcha. So obviously it was Gramps that asked you out.
Yes.
Do you remember what he said?
He actually sat behind me in an English class and kept bugging me, tapping me on the shoulders and all this and that. And then my sister, Lynn, sat in front of him in study hall and he kept asking her if she thought I would go out
with him.
And so she would come home and say, you ought to check that Steve Kirby out. He really is a nice kid. You should go out with him. I go, no.
Well, and then she's got it all wrong. We were in a math class.
Well, whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I kept tapping her on the shoulder and saying, I tried to fix her up with somebody else, one of my buddies.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, it didn't go well, and that's the reason we are together today. I fixed her up with this friend of mine, and he was a troublemaker.
Really?
Not only with you and I, but with the law.
Really?
And so that's why she picked on the kids that were in trouble with the law.
You?
No. And anyway, I thought to myself, why am I trying to fix her up with somebody else when I wouldn't mind dating her?
You wouldn't mind?
No. And so that's how it come about.
So where did you ask her out to go for your first date?
Let me think.
Did we go to a movie?
I was just going to say, I thought it was a movie.
We went to a movie in Peoria. Now, I don't know which one.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the way back, we stopped at a gas station. We were with another couple. We stopped at a gas station to get some orange juice and some, honestly.
Cigarettes?
Juice. No.
I'm just kidding.
But we were all thirsty, and he had his brother's sweater on, and I tried to tease him by hitting it, and it went all over his brother's.
Wow.
It was orange.
Was it a white sweater?
No, it was a red and white sweater.
Oh, man.
Oh,
You ruined that sweater.
I did.
Which brother was it?
Denny.
Wow. Was Denny upset? Has he just held this grudge forever?
Yeah.
Secretly, he's like,
just
damn it. That orange.
That orange on my sweater.
But anyway, I think we got it cleaned off most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Wow. And after that, you guys were just like, let's keep
Dating.
dating.
We went to homecoming. We went to prom, and I was a cheerleader, and he was a basketball player, and we would see each other at games, and yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I had a tough time corralling her. In other words, getting her to date me.
Oh, really?
Only me.
Oh.
And finally, it came about where it happened.
Do you remember the day that you started boyfriend and girlfriend?
Actually, no, you didn't do that. You just would see each other at school, and he actually would come and pick me up, come to the door and get me for a date, but that was once a week.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go out every night, see each other all the time.
Yeah. It wasn't like it is today where we would just go
No.
pick each other up all the time.
No.
No, not at all.
No.
And parents had something to do with that, whether we liked it or not.
Mm.
So much her parents, but not mine. My parents didn't know kind of where I was at.
Oh, yeah.
But he had to come to my house.
I had to come to her house.
My parents
So
did.
anyway.
That's how it all started.
Was there a lot of pressure meeting her parents for the first time? Were you nervous, or did you walk in and just shake his hand? And
Everybody wanted to know me.
He was nervous. Don't kid yourself.
Yes, I was.
of course.
And of course, anytime you meet a girlfriend's parents, but I got along with her dad really well, and we went hunting together.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, us kids, for something to do other than go to movies, when hunting season was on, we went pheasant hunting and rabbit hunting.
Wow.
So anyway,
I don't even know if I know how to hunt. I just see the TV shows where they sit in trees all day in camo.
And You live in a big city.
Yeah.
Where we lived in a rural area where those things happen.
Mm-hmm. You could just do that and no one gave a care. You're like,
right.
oh, Steve's just going out hunting.
That's right.
Interesting. Do you remember when you first knew you loved each other?
I do.
Oh, yeah?
We were parked in front of her house,
Oh, wow.
and she asked me if I loved her, and I says, yeah. And so anyhow, that's how it all began.
Yeah.
Wow. And what was your did she say it right back? Or was she like,
No.
thanks?
She asked me.
Oh, you asked her? You asked him?
I asked him if he loved me.
Wow. And he said yes? And you're like, sweet, me too?
I didn't say me too. I just said, oh.
You weren't ready for it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have asked him if I wasn't.
She said, well, I love you.
Oh, how cute. It doesn't happen like those days like that anymore.
No, and
Well, no.
it was a long time coming too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
No, at least 8 months later.
Mhm.
Very cute. Very
We
cute.
didn't talk that way back then.
Mm-hmm. So let's rewind a little bit, a
Okay.
lot farther back about your origins. I found out some people just from your, by the way, all of these questions were submitted by either your kids or your grandkids.
Oh.
And I texted them all by themselves without you two included specifically, so I could make these all surprises that,
Okay.
and I didn't even know some of these things. I'll start with you, Grams. What was it like living in Mississippi? I had no idea you lived in Mississippi.
You know, I was 2 years old when we moved there, so I was fairly young.
Where did you move from?
From Pekin, Illinois,
Oh, wow. So you were in Illinois and then you moved to
yeah.
Mississippi and then
Right.
went back.
and it was for my dad's job. He worked for Laternal Westinghouse, and they started a new plant in Vicksburg and wanted him to
Supervise it.
be the supervisor.
Wow.
So that's when, and we only lived there probably 2.5 years.
So very, very, very young.
Yeah.
What did your mom do?
She took care of us kids.
Stay at home mom?
Yep. Back then, that's what
That's what moms did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dad
didn't
went to
go
work.
out.
Yeah.
They didn't work.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were the youngest of three. Tom's the oldest brother,
Yes.
and then Lynn's the middle kid,
Yep.
and then you're the youngest.
Mhm.
What was it like being the youngest? How far apart in age?
Well, my brother is 8 years older than me, and Lynn is 2 years older than me. So
Wow.
her and I were pretty close.
Hmm.
When I graduated from 8th grade, he was graduating from college, so he wasn't around that much. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was almost like a Jeanette and her older siblings.
Right.
Like by the time Jeanette was a teenager, Jody was
It was already.
already out and might have even had Drew.
That's right.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. Gramps, how about you? Tell us about what it was like growing up in Benson. What did you do for fun? What was it like in Benson on a Saturday night?
Well, we didn't go out much on Saturday night. As a junior high, we were mostly home.
Mhm.
But during the weekends, we would go. Believe it or not, we would go up to the local tavern. I learned how to play cards up there, and I don't know how old we were at that time. Maybe junior high, freshman, but mostly I was helping Dad at the barbershop, sweep the floor, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And Dad had a great business, and he was a good barber. He really was. And then my older brothers the oldest brother was 8 years older than I was. My next oldest brother was 6 years older than I was. So I was kind of a only child. When they were in college,
Yeah.
I was 8th grade freshman in high school. There was nobody around except for my younger brother and sister, and they were 6 and 8 years younger than me. So I was kind of an only child at that one time.
So I know you're both, Tom and Lynn are both still alive. Are all of your siblings too, Gramps, still alive?
My oldest sister, Carolee, died.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
That's wild. That was, how long ago was that now? It feels
Well,
like forever
she
ago.
died when she was 80, and now her husband is 85. She would have been 4 years ago.
And that's Lee, right?
Yeah.
Carol, Lee, and Lee.
Right.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the barber shop. Your dad was a hell of a barber. Was your mom the same way? She just took care of you and the
Took care of
brothers?
the kids. If she did any work, it would be back then the department stores would hire extra help for the Christmas rush.
Mm-hmm.
She would, well, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in her lifetime she would work
A shift or two.
at Burgers. So, and then that way they could buy Christmas presents at a discount.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it like? I know our family Christmases used to be, it seemed as kids, there's like thousands of presents under the trees. It wasn't like that for you guys. It was maybe 1 or 2 things a piece, if that.
Well, I had 5 brothers and sisters, so the tree was loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we got 2 or 3 things. One year I got a swing bicycle, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And the rest of the kids got their share also. And
that was how it was with me too. It wasn't a lot of presents, but enough that we were so happy.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. Do you, let's fast forward again back to when you were married. What was it like? What are like some good and bad things about being married at so young? How old were you when you got married?
I had just turned 17.
Wow. And back then, though, that was not necessarily an unnormal thing. People got married young. No? No?
That was pretty unheard of.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I didn't really finish high school.
You didn't finish high school?
Until
Not
after.
at that time.
Oh.
No, I went to a junior college to finish my high school.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Did you finish, Gramps?
I got a GED and then went on to college.
Okay. Okay.
And I did the same. I got some like 36 hours in at college.
I didn't even,
college.
no offense, I didn't know you guys went to college. Where'd you guys
Later
go?
on, after we had kids.
Oh, after the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't go to college until after the kids also.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Right.
And then it was just one of those deals where you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
Just
And
about.
that was trying to better yourself to do better for your kids.
Right. Right. That's a good transition into the kids.
Yeah.
If you want to have some questions about that. So you had, did you know how many kids you were going to have when Steve was born? Did you ever, was
no.
6
Heck
was
no.
6 the number that you wanted? Were you guys wanting 1? Like, how did that?
We didn't even think about it. We thought, this is our baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next
Sherry
one,
comes
this is my baby. This is our baby. Now we got a boy and a girl. Now we got
one or the other.
We do as it went on, you know?
So was it difficult coming up with the S names?
No. I purposely named Stevie Steve after him.
Sure.
And then I loved the name Sherry, so of course with an S.
Yeah.
And then somebody said something about Michelle, and so I said no, Shelley with an S.
So it was after Sherry, you made it a point to make the S's.
Yeah, why not? You know, so that's how it went.
That's funny. And Stacy, Steph, and Shane followed that.
Yes.
So after Shane, it was like, okay, we're done. Or how did you feel? Or were you unable to have more? Or how did that go?
It was just that we knew that we couldn't afford anymore.
Mhm.
And this was it. I wanted to have take on a foster child after Shane, when Shane was like 1 or 2.
Oh, wow.
And he said no, because you wouldn't want to give that baby up. And I wouldn't. I would have wanted to keep it, you know.
Mhm.
So no, we didn't do that then. I think I
Wow.
had my hands full with the 6 I had.
Yeah. Were there any S names that were on the table, but you decided to go with the ones that you did?
I was really having trouble with the Shane name. Sean,
or
Scott.
yeah.
But
I
no,
can't picture being a Scott.
No. So it turned out Shane. And I remember my mom said, that sounds like a girl's name. I go, what?
No,
Shane does
really?
not sound like a girl.
Shane?
Shane.
Yeah, I guess you can make that distinction, but
no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were your parents critical of you with the kids and being married at a young age?
Yes.
Did they ever present? Did you ask for her dad's permission, or did you just get married?
We just got married.
Mm-hmm.
We had to have our parents' signature to get
How was that?
at the courthouse.
And how was that getting their signatures?
His dad did it.
Oh, okay. Your parents didn't approve.
Well, they had to for him. He was the.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay.
They did not approve, but yet at that same time they knew
It was inevitable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So back then it happened to a lot of people, but you didn't know it.
Right.
Mhm.
And so Grandma got pregnant with Steve, and they knew we had to get married.
But
Yep.
Logan, everybody in Roanoke said this will never last. They're
Really?
Yeah.
Way too young.
A lot of people nowadays will come up to me and say, and this was never supposed to last. Look at you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
It is.
So you had the world against you and you still did it.
It is.
And look at you now. This episode is coming out on their 59th wedding anniversary,
Yeah.
next year being 60 years.
I know it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd
And
we do?
it's-
We went to Disney for 50 and now Disney's
What are we gonna
closed.
do?
Yeah, that is remarkable.
Yeah,
Isn't that wild?
it is wild.
It's remarkable that we were able to take those trips.
I think that was great.
And then we did it again for what, 55 or 54?
No,
Or did we just go as a group and it just
exactly.
50 we intentionally
We took all of yous.
was that a plan for a while?
Yeah.
Like were you guys maybe around 45 years like for 50 we got to do something big?
He planned.
It was my idea.
Really?
And then I got her to agree with it.
I thought, how are we going to coincide on get all this?
How do we get every family to give up a
Yeah.
week of a schedule?
Yeah.
That's right.
Especially with all of our-
I warned them probably a year and a half ahead of time.
Mhm.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to pay for everything except for your plane flight. And they said, well, we'll handle that. And so everybody had decent jobs. And,
Mhm.
and
It
so
was fun.
we planned that in advance in such that and then, by the way, your parents had a timeshare down there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we took advantage of that, didn't we?
Exactly.
And then Steve goes every year with his class,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew a gentleman that we could pay him for the vouchers for food.
Oh, really? That's how we did it?
I think he got us a little bit of a discount for that. So of course, all the going into all the parks was expensive. Everybody, buying all those tickets into the parks, but it was one of the best times we ever had.
Well worth it.
Yes.
And then we did it again a couple years later. Did it, just in your opinion, did it feel as remarkable as the 50th?
Yeah, it did.
Or was the 50th special because it was the 50th? And it's almost like they almost say the second movie in the series is not as good as the first one. Did you feel that?
It was as good.
Really?
It was
Yeah, we had kind of
we
had
loved
the
it.
same place and
it was
we did.
wonderful.
We did.
same swimming hole, and we weren't at the
Mhm.
I
parks.
remember.
I do. I was 10 years ago almost.
No.
I was 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was
So-
great.
I thought I was the king of the world now.
I know.
Then, and look at me now.
Yeah.
Now I'm
yeah.
really the king.
That you are.
Did you ever think that something like that was going to happen?
Heavens, no.
And then Grandpa had the idea, and you guys were probably like, "Yeah, right. We're going to get all of us down there." And then
It happened.
the 6 months into planning it, you were like, "Holy crap! This is."
Well, he
This is gonna
kinda
happen.
Talked to your mom. He talked to all the kids, and it just kind of
Just worked.
Yeah.
Well, snowball, as they say.
Yeah. It was almost like a once in a lifetime thing,
It was.
even though we did it twice.
I know.
If only we could do it again, but it seems like big groups and vacations, it's hard right now.
Yeah. well, especially now.
Now of all times with
With
the
COVID.
coronavirus. So Steve's the oldest, Shane's the youngest. At what point did you have the most amount of kids in the house at the same time before like Steve left or Sherry left? How many was it like Shelly, Stacy, and Stephanie at the same, like how many people were in the house at the same
Okay,
time?
when Shane was born, Stevie was 13 years old.
Okay. So everybody was home.
Everybody.
You
was
literally
home
raised 6
until
kids at
Steve
once.
Went to
College.
Steve was in 8th grade when Shane was born, and then he had 4 more years. So 4 more years of all of them in that same house.
Wow.
And every summer, Steve would come home. And 2 years later, Sherry got a job at State Farm and stayed at home for a while. So
4 years of
everybody
at the same time.
Right,
What
right.
was that like?
Great.
Really?
The best time of my life.
Grandma says that's the best time.
It
of her
was.
life.
Well, you guys were probably stressed out of your damn minds.
No, I wasn't. He might have been because he had to work.
Well, I didn't have time to be stressed. I had to work.
Mhm.
Now, not only did I barber and deliver mail, I also was a welder in a factory.
I had no idea he was a welder until like last time he visited.
Right.
I think I made a joke about welding, and then he said, "Well, I was a welder," and I had no idea.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said at the top, you know somebody for 25 years and still finding stuff out about them.
Yeah.
Well, you just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a choice when it came to finding the job. I just kind of, for example, my mail route, we moved to a house on Broad Street, and the next door neighbor was a mailman, and he come over to help us. Would you believe it? Move in the house. And so I just casually mentioned, if you ever need a substitute, let me know. 2 weeks later, he comes, he says, "You got the job." So I substituted for him for about 4 years, and then he retired and I got the job.
Wow.
So
So that's how it worked. It was just of chance. Your neighbor was the mailman, and he set you up for the rest of your life, essentially.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Wow.
so he was a very good man, and his wife was the same. And if whoever needed something fixed, such as a washer or dryer
He was
or a
right over
furnace,
there.
he was right
Really?
over there.
Really
fixing
handy guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Knew how to fix anything.
Yeah, we did.
How was, so you keep saying the best time of your life, the best time of your life. What was the biggest struggle? Let's get dark.
Pardon?
Let's get dark.
The biggest struggle.
We didn't have time.
Don't know.
You didn't have time to even worry.
You didn't feel like you didn't have money because everybody else was kind of in the same situation. And you, like our kids said, weren't treated like we didn't have money, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just different in a small town.
It really is.
Back then.
Yeah. And I'm sure it still is different in a small town versus
Sure.
living in you're either living in the city or you're living in the suburbs or you're living in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It feels like that. Somebody is mowing their lawn right
Yeah.
now, and I 100% hear it. That's
Well,
awesome.
hopefully it isn't your dad.
If it is, I'm going to kick his ass. So then with that said, do you have a single greatest memory? One that would come to mind? Just boom, first thing that comes to your mind.
Every time one of my kids were born. So those are 6 wonderful, greatest times in my life.
Do you know those days by heart?
Yes.
What are they?
Okay, Stevie was born October 26th. Sherry was born August 29th. Shelley was born February 4th. And Stacy was born August 22nd.
Really? Her
Yeah.
birthday is that close to Mom's?
Mhm.
I had no idea.
And then Stephanie was the 29th of August, and Shane was September 4th.
Wow.
No, September 5th. for Shane.
Four of your kids were born within 2 weeks of each other.
Sherry, let's see. Sherry,
Stacy,
Stacy,
Mom, and Shane.
Stephanie, and Shane. Yeah.
Were you ever like, would you just do like a big birthday party, or did you do something
Everyone had
individually?
their special birthday.
Oh yeah, Grandma made a chocolate cake with white
Yeah,
frosting,
they all had their own birthday party.
That's awesome.
Home
and it
with
was just us.
Yeah, they didn't have a birthday party with their friends. It was with family.
Very interesting. These things are so great. Love this conversation right now. What was your favorite thing about having the big family, and then what was your least favorite thing?
The favorite thing I think is because they all helped each other,
Mm-hmm.
and heck, you didn't have they were their own playmates. You know,
They almost didn't need friends. They had each other.
right?
Exactly right.
And that's. Did you say the most favorite? Yes.
Yes. And then the least favorite.
Of having a big family?
Yeah.
Probably cooking for them.
How much did you guys spend on groceries?
Oh man, it's hard to.
That was a big item for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
We'd go.
the hardest parts.
Yeah, we'd go.
Feeding all 8 of you at the same time.
Right.
And didn't you guys have a dog at one point too?
Yes.
Man, what was the name of that dog?
Tassie.
Tassie.
Mm-hmm.
Hear mom say Tassie every once in a while.
Yeah.
We had our youngest son was fond of the dog,
Yeah.
Shane.
and he'd take one of the pillowcases and go out and play with the dog, and then he got the dog in the pillowcase, and then he'd get in with the pillowcase with the dog, and they had a great time.
How big are these pillowcases? What kind of dog was
He
it?
It's
just
like
put
a
it over.
cocker spaniel.
Okay.
He just
small.
put it over his head and showed
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah. So
Wow. And Tassie, I assume, lived with you guys until the day he died. Wow. Did you ever think about getting another dog, or were you like, no one will replace Tassie?
No, not just replace Tassie, but it's just I was working
Mhm.
at that by then, and he was working. The kids were all in school. It was just not a good thing to get another dog.
having a dog is I don't want to say worse than having a baby, but once you have a dog,
You don't.
it's almost like having a baby. You got to have a babysitter for it.
You can't go away.
You can't go away. Somebody's got to take care of that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so vacations are few and far between. And
Rubel watched the dog, our neighbor, when we'd go to Wisconsin fishing. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what were your trips to Wisconsin
Oh,
like?
amazing.
What did you do?
Fished, went and stayed in a cabin, rented a cabin for a week, and then we'd fish. And we were with my sister and her husband and her daughter, and we just had a ball.
and your mom and dad were there in another cabin, and another couple.
My mom and dad, yes.
There was probably what,
Hazel and her, probably
15, 16 people there from Rome.
from that we all knew.
So half of the population. Got it.
Well, and then us guys drank a lot of beer, and then at night we played Huck 'em up.
Cards.
What was your favorite beer back in the day?
Well, I think I grew up on Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst
There
Blue
wasn't
Ribbon.
any light beer at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you've never been a big drinker as long as I've known you. Did you drink back in the day?
Never.
Really?
No.
Just never care for it?
Well, I just had.
You had 6 kids to take care of.
somebody had
Right.
to drive home.
Well, not only that, somebody had to take care of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
How could I if I had been drinking?
I keep forgetting that you guys had your kids that young, so it's
Yeah.
not like you got to go through the phase of
that type of
that type of thing of turning 21. And was
and
it-
going out and partying?
was it 18 at the time?
No, it was 20.
Okay.
I was 21.
Sorry for all the age jokes. I don't.
But when I got married and I was on the baseball town team, if I went to the tavern with the rest of the players, I got served alcohol. It
Mm.
didn't make any difference
How old he was?
how old
He was on the ball team.
You remember how old you were when you had your first drink?
I think it was 19 or 20.
Okay, so not like
No,
14 or
not like it is.
15 or anything.
Oh no.
You had already had a kid or two by then.
Yes,
That's right.
that's right.
Here's a fun one. Which kid was the worst driver or most difficult to teach?
You tell him,
No, you tell her.
Sherry.
Really?
Yeah, she got in the car and she says, I got to back this up now. Which way do I turn the wheel?
Oh, Cameron said the same thing when she got in the car. She's like, do I turn it left or right? And I was like, what do you think?
Well, that is something to think about.
Yeah. Wow.
Where Shelley and
Stacy.
Stacy drove the riding lawnmower and they knew how to do it.
Oh, okay. That is
Sherry
good practice.
didn't,
So Sherry just got in the car, and
didn't know. Yeah.
was there any of them that just got in the car and was just easy to teach, like no problem at all?
Probably Steve, because he did the riding lawnmower all the time,
Mm-hmm.
plus plowed snow with it. And yeah, he was easy.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's get into the randomized questions. These are just no particular order. I'm just going to ask away. Grandpa, what was your favorite outfit that Grandma used to wear? That was a popular question. A few people asked that. Do you know what it is?
I do.
Well, you've never told me. I don't remember.
That light green spaghetti strap
Oh
dress.
my gosh, how could I forget that?
Wow.
I used to take her to the Benson dances over there, and back then that was our entertainment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go to a dance.
Going to a dance, square dance it.
She had a light green spaghetti strap dress
And had a suntan, you
and
know.
had a suntan, and all the old farts would Google old.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know, the old ones.
Yeah. Not the young
Well,
ones.
No.
I say that just kiddingly.
Of course.
Everybody
was
Yeah,
gazing on Grandma.
absolutely.
Wow.
Wow.
How cute. Grams, do you have a favorite outfit that Grandpa used to wear or still wears? Does he dress the same forever? Always golf shirt tucked into the shorts?
Always has been a neat, tidy dresser. Always had beautiful shirts, and even before we ever got married.
Never showed up in sweatpants or anything?
Never, ever.
I feel like so much has changed then, because
Yeah.
nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'll go over to someone's place and
There's-
flip-flops or
Yeah.
or
We didn't have those things.
or
you know.
you know, sweatpants, and
Right.
girls will come to school in high school and college with their hair up in a bun, no makeup.
I know.
Was it like that, or would everyone just get dressed up for every occasion ever?
Yes.
Everybody dressed. We
Yeah.
used to have school dances, and freshman class had one, and through the seniors, and to everybody wore their school clothes, what they dressed up, and sweaters.
Because they were nice. You wore
Mhm.
nice clothes to school.
So it wasn't necessarily a uniform. You would just wear like a golf outfit to school.
Absolutely.
Guess what I would wear? You could wear
Would you
slacks.
wear heels?
No, but you wore a skirt or a dress, but a skirt and a sweater. You couldn't wear pants to school. It was
As a
a
girl?
dress code as a girl.
So was there like a dollar bill rule? Did it have to be a certain amount of length that it had to cover your leg?
No.
Nobody had short ones then.
Okay.
You know, so
Girls weren't getting edgy,
No.
having their butt hanging out of their
No.
skirts or anything?
No.
absolutely not.
And then all the girls wore flats at that time.
Flats.
Flats. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Interesting.
So
Do you guys have a favorite car?
Yes,
Which one?
go ahead.
our very first car,
What was it?
1956 Chevy Bel Air,
Wow.
Two-door
hardtop. That was neat.
When you guys had all 6 kids at the same time, would you pile everyone in the same car? Do you have to have 2 cars?
No, same car.
Same car?
Couldn't afford 2 cars.
Yeah.
So station wagon or Suburban.
How much was a pack of gum when you guys met?
Oh boy, a nickel?
I think it was.
Yeah.
How much was a 6-pack when you guys met?
$50,
Six
$65.
a pop or beer?
Beer.
See, I don't know.
Sure, either one.
Yeah.
Was beer more
Pop was
expensive or pop was more expensive? Really?
Can you believe that?
No. What was
And then Stag came out with an 8-pack.
Stag
wow?
beer.
And that was innovative for the
Well,
time.
It was.
And
it
then-
was. And they come out with bottles that were almost like a barrel.
Yeah.
And so nobody liked Stag. And that's kind of why it came out that way. And so it turned out they started something new and everybody
And
else
fresh,
saw it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who was president when you guys met?
Well, Eisenhower was at that time,
Yes.
and then
When
Kennedy was elected.
Wow.
that was when we were in high school, which you didn't pay attention before,
No.
except for Eisenhower. We were in junior high, and
So everybody says they remember where they were when Pearl Harbor was bombed, when 9/11 happened, and those who were alive when Kennedy got shot. Do you guys remember where you were when Kennedy got shot?
I do.
Where were you?
We had an apartment. We lived in our first place, and we had Steve and Sherry. Sherry was like, let's see, no, I guess she was 3 months old, and I was in it was an upstairs apartment with those two little ones when I heard that.
Wow. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Did it shock the world?
Oh, totally.
So it's no exaggeration. It really shocked the entire planet.
Oh, it did.
All anyone talked about for weeks,
Forever.
for months.
Still big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were this is a little more modern? Do you remember where you were when OJ was being chased by the cops in the white Bronco?
In our house on 3rd Street with the TV up in the cupboard,
Mm-hmm.
watching it there
Watching him go down the interstate on his
with that white.
With the white
Yeah.
Bronco.
Yeah.
They just released, Ford just announced a brand new Bronco, and it looks really nice, but it also looks just like the old one. And a lot of people are making jokes that
about
OJ is going to go to the lot when they come out and buy one.
Yeah.
When you guys, we'll save that one for one of the last ones. Besides having grandkids and kids, what are and now great grandkids,
Right.
what are the best memories and accomplishments besides them? So pretend your kids never existed.
Okay. My best memory was working in the dental office in Bloomington with Dr. Cunningham and the girls that I worked with. That was one of my best memories
Mm-hmm.
of without being us together.
No. Gramps, do you have one?
Yeah, you talked about when 9/11 happened. I was just left the post office. I had my truck loaded down with mail, and I pulled up to Jim Sauter's mailbox, and I heard all the bad news. And so, do I have a memory? Those things in life are stuck in my memory, and I can't get over something like Kennedy. I was working in a little factory just down this road from where, and I come around the corner, and Nick Hertz said, "Did you just hear President Kennedy was shot and killed?" Oh, I said, "I can't believe it." Almost made me cry thinking about it.
Well,
Yeah.
you didn't think those things happened then. It was back when Abe Lincoln.
Mm.
That was the last.
That was the last time.
Yeah.
And you think
The president
this doesn't happen anymore.
Back then, people viewed the president as like literally the most powerful person on the planet.
Absolutely.
So to hear that they got assassinated
Oh,
was almost like seeing pigs fly.
yes.
Like it just never happens.
Happened, right.
Wow, that's crazy. Hopefully, nothing like that happens in my lifetime. But you can almost guarantee that something will happen someday to somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. What country would you if you guys got the opportunity to? What country would you travel to, and why?
Mm,
Did you ever have any desire to leave the mainland and go to other foreign countries and see how they lived, or
to move there, you mean? Or
just to visit for a
visit?
week?
I think I would like to. I don't know, Irish,
Well, yeah,
Ireland.
Ireland.
and England,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
I can picture you guys like in England, especially Gramps.
yeah. I would too. So
Is there a nickname that any of us grandkids gave you guys that you were like, let's steer clear of that? Like, did Mima ever annoy you at first?
never,
Never did.
not when it
she
comes out.
loved it.
Folks, I'll call her Mima till the day I die.
You got it.
And Schaefer made up Mima, right?
I
Schaefer and
know,
Spencer?
Yes.
And it just stuck.
Stuck. Not with every one of them though. Some of them call us just Grams
Or G. Paul.
yeah.
Jeep.
Albie says Grams,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think I cycle, but I think I mainly.
so
I
does
go Mima.
Kelsey, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Grams and Gramps.
I think Meemaw is only through Spencer and Schaefer and you.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think your name in my phone is Meemaw.
Yeah.
And his name is Pawpaw.
Yeah.
Not anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. What are some of your favorite summer memories?
Oh, walking with the kids to the dairy swirl
Mm-hmm.
where they.
Gosh, that sounds so good right now.
I made ice cream and we would just hand in hand walk to the dairy swirl. Yeah.
And then she always said, well, I would make the kids lunch,
Oh yeah.
small sandwich, and take them up to the park. And there's a little creek that run through, and they'd sit on the bridge
And eat our lunch.
and eat their lunch. And you say, well, what's with that?
It was big time then.
Yeah.
That
It
was
was.
special.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
and so one of the big times I had was Steve playing basketball his senior year,
Totally.
and we went to the state tournament, and
That was awesome.
that was awesome.
And your mom playing volleyball in college, and Shelby playing volleyball in college, Stacy playing volleyball in college. You know?
We love chasing the kids.
Yeah.
yeah. That's always been very obvious to me and probably the other grandkids.
Right.
You are where your kids are.
Yeah.
You
And then
guys.
Shane played baseball in
Mattoon.
Mattoon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'd go to them, and
All your kids athletically blessed.
yeah, and Shelly in Michigan.
Were you guys ever big, like, were you guys pushing them to get into athletics, or did that happen naturally?
They loved sports and they were talented,
Mm-hmm.
and they knew if they went to college to get a scholarship in sports would really be the
A
best.
blessing, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Steve in basketball and baseball, Shelly in volleyball, Stacy volleyball, Stephanie volleyball, and Shane baseball. And Sherry went to work immediately out of high school at State Farm and has flourished there.
Gotcha.
She'll soon have 40 years, won't
Yeah.
she?
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
know.
Did any of you have a dream that didn't come true? Did you ever aspire to do something or to be someone or be somewhere and just never got around to it?
I think all my dreams were fulfilled, you know?
My biggest dream was getting the kids out of the house and through college so that Mom and I could live a decent life. But that was a big mistake.
Yeah.
We missed them too much.
I was talking to a buddy at work today, and he told me to ask you guys because he had a similar situation. He had his first kid at 19, and he wanted me to ask you if you would do it all over again, would you do it and have kids later, or were you blessed to have all your kids right away and then live your lives after they left?
Blessed.
Blessed.
Doing it the way
He says the same
happened.
thing.
It just happened.
Yeah.
And it worked for us. And
We had our last kid at the age of 30.
30.
That's amazing. Most
Yeah.
people don't have their first kid until they're 30.
I know it.
So you guys had all of that time afterwards to
Right.
just live your life and do what you.
Schaefer and
With the
Spencer
kids.
both were 31 or somewhere in there.
When they had their first,
Yeah.
you know.
And you could, all you did was work and just spend time with each other and the
Yeah.
grandkids.
Right.
Wow.
And then we chased the grandkids.
Their
their
sports
sporting
thing.
event.
Yeah, you sure do.
And then all over
And now for graduations and
graduations and
weddings and
absolutely.
is it crazy seeing that, like, you know,
You know,
all of this is happening because of you?
it is crazy. You don't really think about it, but I was thinking about Clay the other day with his baseball and that, how we went to his
Everything.
games with the one at the national baseball
tournament,
tournament, and that was in a different, and Shelby's nationals, and following all of everything in sports was great. Plus going to our kids' homes that live out of state, like you
Mm-hmm.
and like Stacy and
And Shane.
Shane.
I,
Yeah.
I remember your first soccer game.
I do too.
You never touched the ball.
I know.
You loved it.
I just
though.
laughed the whole time.
You did.
I would run up the field
You had a
giggling.
ball, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. Good thing that this is working out because sports never were going to work out for me.
This is perfect.
Yeah, I know. Thank goodness I can do something fun.
Yes.
So with all that being said, it sounds like if you could would you redo anything?
No.
Wouldn't do a thing?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing. No.
That must feel great.
It does.
You literally have no
I
regrets.
have no regrets.
That's ideal. You want to die with no regrets.
That's right. And then we're in Las Vegas now, and we're happy there, and we get to come and go to all our kids, and that's no regrets.
We'll pivot to that now. When did you decide Vegas? Like, I know you probably went out there a couple times to visit Tom here and there, lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
And when did it kind of start to dawn on you, like, we should do this?
It was him.
Man, Grandpa with all the good ideas.
Well,
My brother.
yeah, you guys were living in Scottsdale,
Arizona.
and we loved that warm climate, and we thought we'd come out there from January, February, and March.
And then you up and moved.
Keep our home in Roanoke.
Oh, really?
And then Tom called one day and he says, "Hey, you guys, you're looking for a place warm. Why don't you come to Vegas?" I said, "Well, I didn't know whether Nancy would come
Or if we could afford it.
or if we could afford it." He said, "Well, come out and look at the homes." And so we did. And I came by myself. And so anyhow,
it worked out.
Yeah, I put a bid on a place, and Grandma come. She said, "We're not buying until I see it."
Mm.
You know?
And so anyway, she come out and she put the kibosh to that.
Well, I didn't only, but the lady that.
I know. But anyhow, we bought the place we now have, and we're
No
tickled.
regrets.
Yeah, we're tickled.
So glad we have the one we have.
Mm-hmm. Did you think do you think that that's the final resting place?
Yes.
Vegas? You will
Yes.
die in Vegas,
Or
for lack of a better.
if I get sick or something and come back to somebody, one of my kids, or he's gone, and I don't know if
And vice versa.
right,
Yeah,
if one of us would pass
pass.
away, then maybe come back to one of our kids.
Yeah. You can come stay with me.
Okay, thanks.
You're
I
welcome.
like your apartment.
Grandpa,
I like-
Grandpa, you can go somewhere else, but Grandma, you can come with me.
I like your apartment.
Yeah, he's afraid that I might move in on Catherine.
Oh.
If you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
That is a tough one.
Well, I'll tell you who I would. I would have dinner with Elizabeth Taylor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And you're going to tell them who?
Maybe I would have dinner with my mom and dad.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought you were going to say Elvis.
I'm going to cry
Are you?
Yeah.
You can.
because it would be fun to see my parents again.
Yeah, I would.
I would have dinner with them.
Oh.
There'll be a day when that happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What are you going to have?
I don't know.
What was their go-to, their specialty?
Called 116 for the fried chicken and the monas or the ravioli spaghetti, that type of thing.
And they used to, when they lived in Indianapolis, they'd come back, and that's the first place we'd go.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and it was always on her.
My dad would buy our meals.
So
Wow.
otherwise, we wouldn't
We
have gotten
couldn't
to do
afford with all our kids to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one day it'll be free for all of you.
I know.
That's wild.
There, huh?
Mm-hmm. Or I
it. We
mean,
hope. We
yeah.
hope.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
So before I end every episode, I ask, I did this the last recording I did, and I'm going to do it going forward for every other one. I'm going to ask each guest the same 5 staple questions.
Okay.
And I think these 5 questions can tell a lot about a person. They're fun questions too, so don't get sad on me for these.
I will.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, Elton John.
You guys saw Elton John?
In Peoria, Illinois.
Mhm.
Wow, he went to Peoria?
Yes, that's where we saw him.
Wow.
He played his piano. He was the only one. There was nobody else.
Just him.
Yep.
And we thought we were on the end zone
Mhm.
of this stadium there in Peoria, and we thought we had the lousiest seats, and pretty soon the lights came on, and his piano
Was down.
here to the other side of the
Yeah. We
Wow.
had great seats.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
It is.
You were right there.
Yeah.
It was great.
He could spit on you if you wanted him to.
Exactly.
And then we also like to what is it, the family that we always like to go see?
The Shintas in Vegas.
Yes.
Very good.
They're
And
always,
Shania Twain was good too.
Didn't one of the Shintas pass away or something?
Yes, the one brother.
Are they still doing
they're
it?
not quite-
Well-
we never see. Well, of course, right now.
Right,
nobody's
yeah.
there.
Nobody's
But
seeing
They
anyway.
haven't played together for a while.
It was probably a big loss for the family,
Right.
especially a family that made a business out of
Out
something
of it.
together.
Yeah.
If you guys, this is a fun one. This isn't on the 5 questions, but if you could open up a family business, what would it be? Would it be a restaurant, a car wash, just a company of some sorts? Or would you want to go into business with family?
That's,
You don't want to rip each other's heads off.
that's difficult to be in business with family.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to stand being in business with Griffin or Cameron.
You would end up having too many flaws with each other,
well, and I had my own business. I had my barber shop.
Yeah, true.
And, that only lasted 4 years, and then I moved it to our walkout basement, and I did that for 20 years,
Mhm.
and 4 nights a week.
But you didn't go into business with anybody.
No, I did not.
One man show.
Yeah.
Line out the door.
Yep.
What is, if you were an animal, what would you be?
I love giraffes.
I knew that was going to be your answer. I knew you love giraffes because mom loves them too.
I do love them.
Gramps, what would you be?
I never thought. I thought it would be a tiger, but yet at the same time, a thoroughbred racehorse.
Wow. Why is that?
Well, I don't know. They run fast, and
They're
they
beautiful.
look very.
And they are beautiful. Yeah. Maybe kind of similar to the dinner question, but if you could go back in time, who would you want to meet?
Back in time. Maybe Kennedy.
Yeah. I watched that show. You guys watched that show,
Yes.
11, 16, 72, or what, something like that,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And it just seemed like all the ladies were all over Kennedy.
Oh, they were.
His poor wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt so sorry
But
for her.
honestly, I really respected him before I knew all this about
Sure.
all the other.
Marilyn.
Yeah. Maryland, yeah. And he would be a fun person to.
He would
go
be
back
fun.
in time to meet. Yeah.
Gramps.
Probably Mickey Mantle. You don't know who that is, probably.
I do not.
He played for the New York Yankees back in the 50s, 60s, and he was such a ball player. And then I probably would like to also meet Ernie Banks.
I've heard that name.
He played for the Cubs and was a nice man.
Very good. What's the last thing that you guys sat down and binge watched? This is,
Constant binge watching.
yeah.
Probably Breaking Bad
That and Silent
and
Witness.
Silent Witness.
Okay. And then finally, what do you get when you go to the movies?
Popcorn and bring my water.
Sneak a water in
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to pay $6 for a small water?
No,
Does Grandpa like the popcorn as well?
he does, but then he has me put in my purse some Twizzlers or something,
This wasn't on those either, but what stemmed the candy addiction? Was it Grandpa or Grandma?
Grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
My dad.
Really? Big candy guy?
Yeah, I used to cut hair with him in his barber shop, and then when it got slack in the afternoon,
Get a candy bar.
he'd give me a quarter a quarter for a Snicker and go down and get a Snicker for him. And he never said, get yourself something. But he always,
Gave you some.
well,
Give you a bite.
Yeah, he always gave me a bite. But anyhow, that's what Grandpa Kirby started all that.
So it's not from me. You're
Everybody,
Mother.
they're all
It's
obsessed.
all about him.
Shane too. Shane's huge candy.
Shane.
Mom, Stacy,
Sherry.
too. They're all obsessed.
Yeah.
Stevie
He's
doesn't.
not.
Stevie doesn't give off the impression that he's obsessed with candy.
No, he
He's
is.
obsessed with Bud Light.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, this was the best.
It was the best.
I learned so much about you guys. I never thought I'd learn. Before we go, I'll remind you all again that you can follow us on Instagram at Logan Lewis 96 and whatever Logan wants on Instagram. Make sure on Apple and Spotify you are subscribed there as well. Be sure to spread the word. That's how people hear about these things. Just like TV shows, word of mouth is the strongest marketing tool there is. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to that as well. You guys, this was a huge honor for me. I could talk to you guys for hours.
know.
Thank you so much for
was
doing
so-
this.
Thank you,
Huge
Logan.
honor for us.
Yes, it was.
For
Thank
you
you.
to
Well,
choose us.
Thank you guys so much, and we will see everybody next time. Goodbye.